Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Vinitaly International Academy, announcing the 24th of our Italian Wine Ambassador courses to be held in London, Austria, and Hong Kong from the 27th to the 29th of July. Are you up for the challenge of this demanding course? Do you want to be the next Italian Wine Ambassador? Learn more and apply now at vinitalyinternational.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Polly Hammond, and you are listening to Uncorked, the Italian wine podcast series about all things marketing and communication. Join me each week for candid conversations with experts from within and beyond the wine world as we explore what it takes to build a profitable business in today's constantly shifting environment. This week, we welcome Chinedu Rosa, founder of By Rosa and co-founder of the upcoming Bordeaux Mentor Week. Chinedu is one of the very first certified wine experts in Nigeria and has channeled her over 20 years of wine expertise into helping European wine brands embrace and navigate the West African markets. But even more, she's bringing her Nigerian heritage to her European home, hosting hands-on wine and food events that showcase the myriad possibilities when we think beyond our borders. Let's get into it. Good morning, Chinedu. Thank you so much for joining me today for this podcast recording. I have heard the best things about you, so welcome.
Oh, such a pleasure, Polly.
So I have a couple things that I want to talk about today. You are working with the lovely and talented Jane Anson on Bordeaux Mentor Week. You're her partner in that. But
Yes.
also you are our Bordeaux woman on the ground for the Nigerian wine market, which has fascinated me to kind of watch its growth and look at some of the data over the years. So I think that we're going to talk about both of those things.
That's cool.
But first, you and I have not had a chance to meet in person, so we're going to do it right here for everybody to hear. Tell me a little bit about, or tell me a lot about By Rosa, which is your company, your endeavor. It's based in Bordeaux.
Yes.
And sells wine in Nigeria, export wines to Nigeria.
Exactly.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
Okay, so my story is quite weird, not from a wine drinking family. And I enjoyed wines because my uncle, who is an archbishop, he used to live in Rome. And he would bring a couple of really lovely Tuscans back to Lagos. And if you know Nigeria is actually a beer drinking country. And we love cool drinks. It's quite hot, 34 degrees and above. And people like refreshing drinks. So we come from a country of beer drinkers. But my dad wasn't a beer drinker. He wasn't really much of a drinker at all. But, heart what's what the heart wants. So the first time I tasted a good bottle of wine, red wine, I was like taken. And this was when I was 16. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what I want to be drinking for the rest of my life. It was so nice. It was so, it was just delicious, right? Some people at the beginning, you either love it or you hate it. But for me, it was really instant love. And I just would tell my dad, like, instead of beer, can we just get a bottle of wine? Whenever we travel, can somebody get us a bottle of wine? Oh. And I didn't know I didn't even know a Merlot from a Cabernet Sauvignon. I didn't know any of that. I was just like, ooh, beautiful wine, And
yummy.
Yeah, it's so yummy. It's delicious. Yummy. And as time went on, I fell in love, got married to a Lebanese guy. They were importing wines in Nigeria. He was in Nigeria. Of course, went through all the school and everything, but still drinking wine when I could, because it was not very often you find wines in Nigeria. But friends would travel. When we traveled, we would bring a couple of bottles and I would savor it. Like I would save it, keep my little wine. But unfortunately, it's not like today that we have various ways to save the wine. It was much better. So, years later, he was importing wines from France. And I started tasting wines from France through him. And this was a big revelation for me because I was actually drinking crappy wines. And I was like,
you'd been drinking crappy wines. Like
he brought crappy wines.
Oh, okay.
His husband of mine brought crappy wine. Like the company were bringing wines that were, the wines that says drink with fish, drink with meat. And I had tasted the good stuff. I was like, boy, this is not going to fly. This is just not it. And the good thing was that he had partners, he had friends, they were all working together. And he said, so could you do better? Do you know what you would like? And I would go to the stores, and there was quite some nice supermarkets then. And I would get a couple of bottles that I know about, and we would try them. And I would say, okay, see, this kind of wine, this would make more sense. But he was like, the price.
And this was in Lagos?
This was in Lagos.
This was in Lagos.
Was all in Lagos. And this, we would look at the price factor. And he's Lebanese. So we would go to Lebanon, and they were very, oh my God, beautiful wines from Lebanon. And he comes from a place called Hamdoun, where it's in the mountainside. And we have fabulous, the terroir there is amazing. And there's one of very good Lebanese wine being made from there. It's the Chateau Bellevue. And no, it's not called Chateau Bellevue. I think it's just Bellevue. But it's excellent. And I have property in that very area where they plant vines. So we just sell the vines. We sell the grapes. They just cultivate the land because it's it's totally sloped south, like in an amazing area.
So that's interesting.
Wine from there. Yeah.
I didn't realize that along with your Lagos enterprises, you actually are part of the production side as well. So you kind of have it both coming and going.
Yeah, for my production side, because I studied it, I love it. I'm like, I would not tell you that I'm producing wines, but I love when it's time for blending. I have gone through all the process. I have studied. I have, become understudy for a winemaker, just, spending time with them, looking at the process, learning. I love it. It's just incredible what they can do with a whole barrel of grapes, turning it into wine. For me, it's very biblical. Like, Jesus turning this into wine, but here is a man actually turning grape juice.
We can still do miracles. We can still perform miracles.
Yeah, exactly.
So without dating any of us too much, I know that the Nigerian wine industry didn't actually really start growing until sort of 1990s.
Exactly.
Which means that so for someone like me, at my age, I would have just been entering my adulthood at the time that the Nigerian wine industry was growing up. What is that like to grow up in a space where this isn't a part of your cultural heritage, and then to try to find the opportunities, find the wine, develop a friend group or a professional group that also has the knowledge and experience. And the reason I ask this is actually an issue that we're seeing nowadays in the wine industry, where it's becoming harder and harder to onboard people who are not enamored, or who themselves are not part of that romanticized view. Like, they actually come in because they really love the product and they want to understand how it's made, sold, and consumed. So what was that like growing up in that space?
No, but because like I said, I grew up in a beer drinking society. Yeah. And tasting wines, because if you're lucky enough, so this, I have to really emphasize this. There is a certain background, like you would never have tasted wine before. Like in the 90s, you would never have tasted wine before. I am going to be getting to the 50 very soon. And I grew up, like you said, I was in my secondary school in the 90s, right? So I was like, there is no wine, but I can't tell you that I miss it because it's not part of my culture. It was just because I tasted it and I liked the way, like it's like Bush, trying to be this person. I enjoy the fact that you have a glass of wine, you can talk while you have it. It's like the beer, you have to use like a timer. You have a cold beer in your hand, you need to finish it at a certain time. When it gets warm, it's
well, that's how you know when your barbecue's done. It's based on how many beers it's taken to actually do that. But you would not, with that in mind, I mean, you were so lucky that you had the Archbishop who could bring you, and it was amazing wines that you started with.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have had, a friendship group or a professional group or any kind of support group, anything that would help you be like, right, this is how you're going to grow and turn this into a financially sustainable career.
At all. As a matter of fact, I think when I drink wine, people look at me weird, like, what is she trying to prove, right? But
in Lagos?
In Lagos, this is till the 90s, like late 90s. When I met my late husband, it was in the 99. And in 2000, I was working in the bank. I was like, I was around people who were educated, who were well-traveled, right?
Sure.
But it still wasn't a culture thing. It wasn't something they would just do, open a bottle of wine. So to come back to your question, the fact was the wine was also something you look, it's not unreachable, but it's something that you look forward to. Like you want to aspire to be somebody who drinks wine.
Right.
Right.
Which is not, to be fair, that's not completely removed from the experience that a lot of people around the world still have with wine. I mean, maybe the French excluded, but
no, but do you want to be drinking beer?
Yeah.
You want to be like you look like, as a woman, even Nigeria, that's one thing some people don't know. Nigerian women were really absent from alcoholism. From alcohol, not alcoholism, from alcohol. Women were the consumption. They were not drinking alcohol. You were seen like a bit loose if you were drinking alcohol in those days. Okay?
Interesting.
So that was another thing. So women would, and because they don't want to drink beer, they drink stout. Nigeria has the largest, after Ireland, the largest plant.
Interesting.
Yes, for
very
stout.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk more about Nigeria, but I actually want to jump into the Bordeaux Mentor Week.
Yes,
that you are organizing, or that you have organized. I mean, this is, you've got your select
done.
This is done, right?
Yeah.
That you've organized. So I think when we interviewed Jane was my inaugural guest on this podcast. I love her so much. I don't know that the Bordeaux Mentor Week had been announced at the time.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to talk about how it came to be and how all of that experience of being, an up and coming Nigerian wine expert all those years ago has led to this moment.
Well, honestly, I think the beauty about the partnership I have with Jane is that we're so different, but so alike. We talk differently. We appreciate things differently, but we always, from the first day we sat down together, we looked at each other, we're going to be friends. It was so funny, but there were things, and we got to talk. We have so many friends in common, but we got to talk seriously when she interviewed me about diversity in Bordeaux. And that was, this she did for Decanter. And it was such a liberating experience for me to actually talk to somebody who was asking me the right questions, right? How do I feel here in Bordeaux? And then after that discussion, I think we looked at each other and she's like, what are we going to do about this? And I'm like, Jane, I am doing my part. My part is to encourage more people to learn about wine, to host wine tastings. I do wine tastings in chateaus. privately with guests with Nigerian food. And when I'm in Nigeria, I have been doing tasting since 2008 because after I was in Lebanon and my husband died, I moved back to Nigeria and I worked with his friends and we had the EXO wine stores. And that was my opportunity to really grow in the wine business. Like you were asking me and how did I get into it? That was my opportunity because I now ran a wine store, a wine cab. And this wine cab was really amazing. It was the first of its kind in Nigeria. We had all wines from Bordeaux, over 350 brands. And from the Great Grand Cru, from Aubryon to Haute-Smith Lafitte to Chateau Margaux, we were selling everything. Cheval Blanc. We would have private collectors. And this was where I understood, and it was such a lovely thing to see because I had just come back from Lebanon. I had had this experience in Lebanon with the wine world, but coming into Nigeria and seeing that things had changed between 2004 and 2008 that I came back. People had already started going into the wines. We already were importing serious numbers of champagne. Huge quantities of champagne.
I knew that champagne was a primary wine market for a very, very long time. I understand that is shifting a little bit now to more and more still wine, but that the still wine is like compared to the value of the champagne on the market in Nigeria, that unfortunately the still wine that is mass purchased or mass consumed is a much lower
quality
value.
Very good.
Yeah, lower quality.
And this is my problem because somebody was asking me, do you do only Bordeaux wines? And I said no. I actually work with Italian companies. I work with Spanish companies. But one of the things that I hold very dear to my heart, and that's why Vines by Rosa even came about, because I was living here. I after running EXO wine stores in an import company, wholesale, retail, I was meeting a lot of French winemakers. They come to Nigeria, and I came to Bordeaux at École de Vin. I was doing my courses there. I would travel. I would spend time here. I wanted to get more knowledge. I wanted to get the French knowledge, right? And I was doing that because I wanted to really be able. I learned about wine through tasting wines. This is the truth. I didn't go to any school at the beginning. I was just tasting regularly and developing my own idea of what good wines should taste like. And that was how I became who I am today. The studies was one thing, but the real fact is my tasting of wines and my exposure to these wines was what made me more determined to become better, to now think about it professionally.
So you're in Lagos. You have this top-notch, groundbreaking cave.
Yeah.
With a full range of, especially Bordeaux, but global wines.
Yeah.
Champagne, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're really on the ground floor of building a market.
Yes.
That doesn't exist. So the reason I bring this up is, we have this constant debate in wine about how do we onboard new audience. And I think to myself, well, we've got an example here in Nigeria of a market that didn't exist 30 years ago. We can actually look at it, and instead of all of us sitting around pontificating around, oh, it's entertainment or it's education or it's tourism or, it's Tuesday night tastings, whatever it is, right? They were like, well, what did they do? How did they actually grow the market?
Exactly.
So what was, other than the love, which I don't think that we can discount, what did you see was most effective for growing that audience? Was it entertainment or education or experiences or travel or, social media influencer?
No, there was no.
I know I'm being sarcastic.
No, but it's very funny because this is one of the words I really hate, the influencing nonsense. It's not part of it's not in my agenda. It's not in my itinerary. Actually, when people start following me and you have nothing to do with wine, I delete you because you ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't want followers. I want people who are interested in what I'm doing. Don't follow me if you are just looking for pictures. Right? So the real thing that worked with Nigeria, and this is why what I'm doing on Friday is so important for me, is actually tasting the wines with our local dishes. This, I'm telling you, it was just one day. We normally get our cheese from a particular store in Lagos. It's a French shop. We were doing the normal European tasting. And then one day they didn't have cheese. And because I have already started with the education, like you spoke about, we do tastings. We invite people when we bring new wines. We tell them, come try this if you like it. We're not even giving you, oh, it is so 5 years old, all the grammar and the BS
bullshit.
That goes with, the bullshit that goes with, trying to sell people what they don't need. For me, it's all about really finding what is your bliss in wine. What glass makes you say, what glass of wine makes you say, I want to sit down with my wife and have a good chat. Right? Yeah. This is what is important. It's not you telling me what I should taste in the wine. You don't have the right to tell me what I should taste. I will decide what I'm tasting. And I just want
it's a
other
non-judgmental space.
Non-judgmental. Nobody was trying to say, I smell the blackcurrant here, the blossom. Because seriously, we don't even have some of the smells. When I started my WISET courses, this was one of the first things I told my teacher. I said, listen, I am lucky and blessed enough to be somebody who has lived abroad, who've traveled. But come on, we don't even know most of the smells you're talking about. First of all, you guys need to expand your vocabulary. You need to expand your mindset to encompass the world. It doesn't mean I smell blonde plantains in wines. I smell something starfruit, the African starfruit in wines, and I can't explain it to you. So don't tell me what I'm tasting. I know what I'm tasting. And all that matters is I like it or I don't. And then you leave me. Leave me to my...
Well, I interviewed Jim Morris, who is from Charles Krug in Napa. And I mean, he's been in the wine industry forever. And what he said is, look, you've got two kinds of wine as a drinker. You've got yummy wines and you've got yucky wines.
Exactly. Thank you.
And that's it. The discussion around food and language, we've been talking about this with the Chinese audiences for years, that to go in and to try to even structure a meal in the way that that the Western world eats, which is one dish, one wine, one dish, one wine, one dish, one wine. Like this is not culturally how everybody else on the planet eats. So what happens when you've got 9 dishes and you're trying to do a tasting? So this is actually, I think that this is such an important part of the conversation, because 5 years ago when we were having this discussion, huge pushback. The pushback that we got, and I'm sorry to say a lot of it did come out of the old world and it did come out of France, is, well, you just have to learn to drink the way that we drink, which is such a slap in the face to any good consumer facing marketing.
I totally refuse that. And maybe this is why I am seen as somebody who I don't give a damn about your rules. I do it's my way or the highway. You don't want to work with me? Very good. I mean, there's no trust. There's no force. I'm good with what I'm doing. Yeah. And this is why for my tastings, I actually taste up to 3 wines with one dish. And then you choose what suits you. You choose the one. I'm not telling you have to like this wine with this food. You're going to have a choice. There's going to be 2. There's going to be 3. And for each dish, you try each of this wine with that same dish. And you choose what is good for you, what you are comfortable with, what you say is yummy. I might say it's yucky and somebody says it's yummy, but I need to give you choices. You can't force people to put them in a box. This is one of the things that drive me crazy here. They want to put you in a freaking box. No, I refuse to be put in a box. You are not my maker, so you can't put me in a box.
So you've got the Bordeaux tastings that happen in Nigeria, but what I'm really curious about is, are you bringing that the other way, where
On
you have
Friday.
Nigerian
On
experiences? Talk to
Friday.
me about it.
Honey,
Yeah.
come on. On Friday, this very Friday, I am hosting the second edition of the African food and wine tasting
In Bordeaux.
in
Oh
Bordeaux on
my
the
God,
17th
that sounds
in
good.
the evening. I did the first one in Paris, which was a huge hit. We had over 12 wines, 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minus the champagne and with 10 dishes. And each of them were paired with two. And then we did a twist and a shake up. And like, oh, I preferred the methodical with the jollof rice. I preferred the vegetable soup. I mean, people were actually tasting. And I'm saying this truthfully. Out of 50 people, there were 12 nationalities at the event. 12 nationalities. More than half of them have never tasted Nigerian food before.
Mm.
And it was an experience that for me, it was so gratifying, because this is what I do in Lagos. We started tasting food with Nigerian dishes, and people were now, the element that makes a wine yummy is the way you feel. And the way you feel when you're eating your native dish is different from when you're being forced to eat salad, a crusty chicken, or whatever. My spice is more delicious than anything else in the world as far as I'm concerned. No matter the kind of food you give me from wherever else you're from, what I am is what is going to make me feel good.
There's a great quote that has stuck with me that is, what is patriotism if not the love of the foods we ate as a child? And I just remember, so I'm American by birth. My heritage is actually out of New Orleans, which has one of the most fabulous food cultures in America. And I just remember going through pregnancies as an expat, and all I wanted was could someone find me okra, or could someone get me ribs, or proper sausage, or all the things that to me were of home.
That were you.
Yeah. So, okay, you're preparing these incredible African Nigerian dinners. So I guess my first questions are, do you bring chefs and ingredients and everything over to actually make that authentic?
Yeah. I would tell you something. I love cooking, first of all. So all the ones I've been doing at the chateaus, I had one at Chateau de la Ligne, Chateau d'Uzac, Chateau Biac, and I made all the food. I bring my spices. I love cooking. I love feeding people, which is something my mom passed on to me. But for the dinners, because they are more than 40, I have a chef. I have one in Paris. I actually have 3 here in Bordeaux. And for this latest one, this is a secret. You're the first person I'm telling this. There's going to be Senegalese food and Nigerian food, because I don't want it to just be a Nigerian experience. I want people to actually see the connection that Africa has to its food, to our taste, because I don't sell wines only to Nigeria. I sell wines to Ghana, to Togo, Senegal, Cameroon. So I want to expand the experience of everybody who comes in there to be like, from the apéro, they're going to be snacks that we grew up on. They're going to be finger foods that we grew up on.
Because, I think about how the British, or at least so many of the British I know in New Zealand, they're not so good with spice. So how does that?
I am doing.
How does that go in the room? Tell me about that. Yeah.
So what happens is, I'm going to send you pictures later. But what happens is, I'm not mean, and neither am I looking for somebody to fall sick. So the truth of the matter is that the Nigerians, the way we cook is that we love to keep spice aside. Because I grew up with a dad who couldn't handle spice. He comes from the eastern part of Nigeria, we are more milder. We love lots of legume, vegetables and stuff like that, but not too spicy. Then my mom comes from a riverine area of Nigeria where spice is life. Like they would spice your whole being. But so we have to find a way to make it work. So we have peppers and garlic and ginger blended and fried and kept in a little pot while the food is made. So you spice to your taste.
Nice.
So that's what I brought. That's what I'm doing with the tasting. I make the food spicy, but I not peppery.
Not inedibly. So
yes, peppery. There's ginger, there's garlic, there's a bit of a lot of African spice, but not the ones that would burn your mouth. Because another thing about the tasting is I'm really looking for a balance between the food and the wine. If it's too spicy, the wine will not even appear. Like I would kill the wine. So we need, so this is one of the things I teach in Lagos when I was doing this food, at the tastings. I have people who their wives would come and I would teach them how to do the balance. I would have classes at it's fun. Like, you have women, I have days for women. Thursday nights were for the ladies and Friday nights were for the guys. So we would do like suya, and then we would do cocktails. We would have wines, different kind of wines from Burgundy and wines from Bordeaux and wines from Languedoc that I would, we use that to determine the spice level. What kind of spice level can each wine how strong can you go?
Which is, of course, also, in a way, or very much so, not just in a way, it's also placing it in a context of a culture. This is practical education, as opposed to I sniff this and I swirl that and yada yada. But it's like this. You know what? You want to drink it? This is how you drink it. This is how you enjoy it.
But Polly, unfortunately here, if you do not have that education,
here
in Europe, they're like, oh, I have 23 years of experience without even before I came to Bordeaux and started, the experience, like really going to classes and stuff. I know there's a lot I learned. But really, when I'm talking to people, I'm not teaching you technicalities. I'm not really interested in it. What I want to know is how you enjoy your wine. What makes you tick? What gets into your head and makes you remember this glass of wine? Because we forget. But actually, when you find that thing that really talks to you, you never forget the name of the wine. You never forget the region where the wine comes from. I'm not cramming anything. I can't do that. It's too much work. I would rather let a wine tell me how I feel, and then the wine becomes my lover.
But you know what? I love that. This is my my constant bane as a wine marketer, which is wine marketers can be, vilified because there's this belief that we're manipulating or contorting facts, which is actually far from the truth. Good wine marketing, which is what I'm hearing when you're talking, good wine marketing, good sales is actually about caring for that consumer's experience before we care about our pocketbook. If with love and care and like true hospitality, I'm most interested in the person who is experiencing my product, having the best moment they can with it, then that's what sells. That's what grows. That's what builds.
And do you
loyalty.
know what, darling? Since I left Nigeria in 2015, as I speak to you, I get orders from Lagos. So what I do is I get my clients who are importers. I pair them with clients from Bordeaux, from Italy, from Languedoc, from Champagne, people I think can work well together because I know both I know both sides. I know the importer who is looking for a very very structured company who doesn't want to, like, he wants to play by the rules. He wants the old school wines. He doesn't want flamboyant labels. I have them. And then I have the younger ones, not young in age, but the ones who want something more contemporary, who wants a winemaker who is just trying out new stuff. So this is my job. I stand in between both countries or both continents to try and get the right partnership. Because when you get the right partnership, the sales comes easy because both of you have the same mindset for marketing. I believe marketing is marketing to the right client. I have clients who want sweet wines. No matter what I say, this is their taste. Why should I vilify them because they don't want to drink Mago?
Oh, but it happens.
Or, I don't do that. This is where not coming from a wine drinking culture, I think this is where it comes in, because I don't have anything stuck in my head that, it must be like this. I am very open. I would taste anything you put my way. Then it's either a yuck or a yum.
So I have some questions around what else was coming up in Nigeria at the same time. So my understanding is that Nigeria has excelled in technology, both technology and fashion. Two things that are surprisingly, and music, music as well.
Music, fashion, movies. We are number one. Movies
in production.
Africa. Yeah. And I mean, not just production. I mean, the best stars in Africa, and the music is worldwide. Like no other African country their music gets played like Nigeria. Nowhere in the world.
So we're number one. I mean, not that we have to be college professors and researchers and PhDs to answer this question, but can we point to that sort of that globalism, that the technology that allowed us to actually be a part of a wider world, the sharing of culture as part of the reason that you can now sell French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, whatever it is, wines in a country that 30 years ago had no
100%. Listen, 30 years ago, Nigeria was an entity of its own, lovely country. But, we're just enjoying our life. We're doing our own thing. We love to party. So beer making NBL makes more profit than any other beer company in the world. I'm serious. We love to party. Like Nigerians party like no other person does, right? It's 24.
That's what you need to bring to the old
We
world.
party all the time.
We need some of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm doing that actually. If you want to come on Friday, it will be my pleasure, because after the dinner, there is definitely music playing and people are going to be dancing, because I'm not going to have dinner and then everybody's like, okay, it's over. And Africa is all about the music. It's all about the food, the ambience that we create. And to answer your question, yes, 30 years ago, we did not have, I still have my telephone. I have to, roll the dial and then call NMP. Like we had a NITEL that we have to connect for us to be able to make calls. And the international calls were so expensive. Expensive. Like your parents have a lock on the phone to make sure you don't rack up bills.
No overseas boyfriends.
No way.
Don't know how that Lebanese husband came about.
Oh, he came to Nigeria. He was smart. He was very smart. He was in Nigeria already. He was like, I got you. I'm here.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right.
But the MTN came. What came into Nigeria was communications, and as you can see, I love to talk. Nigerians are 10 times even talkers than I am. So even the poorest person in Nigeria has a phone. If you don't have anything, you have a phone. So Nigeria is the number one in telecommunications in Africa, plus Middle East, because we are 250 million people. With some people having as much as 3 telephones. different lines. Like a businesswoman, I would have 3 lines from Nitel, from Etisalat, MTN, and one other one, Globalcom. That means you're ready for business because Nigeria is so fast paced. You don't want to lose 1 second of somebody
because it's removing the barriers of entry.
The thing about Nigeria you have to know is that we had so much oil, we were spoiled rotten. We had too much money. That was Nigeria in the 70s, 80s. There was too much money. I think that was when I was growing up, and we never lacked for anything. Traveling was easy. Our money was higher than the pound. We were we're higher than the US dollar. Nigeria was there in the 60s till we became stupid, of course, and there was a war, the Biafran War, from my part of the country, and that was the beginning of the end for the beauty of Nigeria and the economical wealth of Nigeria. The country I grew up in was just beautiful. It was a utopia. Yeah, everybody comes to Nigeria to have fun. It was safe. It was gorgeous. It was peaceful. And today, we're in a country where people cannot even say what they want. They banned Twitter in Nigeria for a while. But believe me, there's one thing I love about Nigeria that I know nobody can ever take from us is out of the 250 million, 60% climbing are between the ages of 18 and 55. So we have one of the youngest economy in the whole planet. And in 250, Nigeria will be number 3 when it comes to population. I think they said every 10 person, 1 person will be a Nigerian.
So, just kind of gonna back up to the Bordeaux Mentor Week. So you and Jane, you met, she interviewed you, you got on like house on fire. You asked the question, how are we going to solve this? And out of that discussion grew the Bordeaux Mentor Week.
Yes.
So that happens in September. Is that correct?
September 26th. Yeah.
You've got 7 selections, or is it 7 selections today?
Yes. It was actually supposed to be 6, but we have 8. So one of the mentees who was supposed to be a mentee, Treasure McQueen, he is just an amazing
chef.
Treasure.
Yeah, amazing chef.
And he has so much. His story is inspirational. He came from hard life to now be somebody who makes art on a plate, makes beauty out of just vegetables. He's an amazing guy. We had over 120 applicants. We didn't even know if people would be interested, right? This is us saying to Bordeaux, guys, you guys got to wake up. You can't have the same thing year in, year out. You need to bring in people from other backgrounds, people who did not grow up with wines like I didn't grow up with wines, but they have something to give you. They have something to share with you. So why don't you just open the doors a little bit more and let them come in and see what you're going to learn?
Was the response wholly positive? You don't have to name names, but when you went out for this, was everyone like, yeah, high five? Were there the people who, to be fair, they see it as an economic benefit? We can talk about that if we want.
No, truthfully, I think there was a lot of positive energy around this. And then, of course, you always have those who are like, pourquoi? What am I going to get from this, right? Which is normal. Like some businessmen, they have, like I said, some people are so short-sighted and they are so in their bullshit, they don't even see a way out. They just believe in being in their pond. I'm the king of the pond and I stay here, right? So people like that, we don't even waste our times with them. But the truth is that a lot of people were very interested, intrigued. I think what's going to happen is that they want to see what happens. And then next year, We will have a pick and choose. Like we would, and this is what I told Jane. This is
or
where
you do more than one.
Yes, this is the plan.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
This is the plan, and hopefully, there's a lot going on. I can't share with you, but hopefully, it will be something that we would be able to move intercontinentally.
I love that.
Yeah. Because there's so many people out there that really wants the opportunity. And there's something else that we noticed due to the fact that Africa is hardly represented. We would need to do better. Yeah. We would need to do better, because that means, like I was telling some bartenders, I know some bartenders, right, in Lagos, because I was in Lagos in April. But we had already made our choice. But I told them next year, because that was another reason. When I went to Lagos, I told the importers, I told my partners in Lagos, I told some people that I work with that buy wines from my partners. There is this program. You know your best guy. You know your guy who has really a penchant for wine, who has interest. Please, when it starts next year, I'm going to send you all, and I will send you information. I will try to make sure that you are part of this.
Okay. So here's what you got to bring. You got to bring the food.
Yes.
You got to bring the culture.
Yes.
I think you got to bring some of that kick-ass mentoring. I think we need a little bit more of that light a fire under your ass personality type amongst, Yeah.
But this is what we're doing. This is what I told Jane. I'm not doing any of the on the board, vote yourself. No. I don't do that. For me, it's the way I'm talking to you. My mentorship is like this. I do not write things down. I go with the flow. How I'm feeling and how you're responding to me. I don't think book-wise. Like the textbook thingy does not work for me. And I don't think it helps anybody. Talk to somebody.
This is what makes you a good marketer. This is what makes you good at marketing and sales.
Because
read the room,
I feel, exactly. Feel. If I'm sad, if who I'm talking to, that means he needs empathy. He needs somebody to listen to him. It's not for me to be shouting, you can do it. No, that's not what he needs at that moment. That's not what she needs.
So no life as a bullshit motivational speaker for you.
No way. No. I don't even have time for slides.
Look, honestly, I've loved talking to you. I feel like we could keep going. I know you've got a super busy schedule. You've got the event on Friday. I can't wait. I can't wait to actually hear more and see more about that. I'm so grateful to you because you did drop everything to come in and talk about this with me. And I have loved chatting with you today.
Me too.
Kick it down. If people want to know more about Vines by Rosa and what you're doing professionally, where do they find that?
Oh, I have my website, www.vinesbyrosa.com.
Yep.
But I'm somebody who, like I said, I prefer one-on-one. On LinkedIn, you can contact me. I like talking to people. I like knowing what you're feeling. All those things.
So you're a DM girl.
Yes.
So you're like, slide into my DM.
Yes.
And we'll have a conversation.
I'm a Leo, and I believe in direct contact. Face to face, eyes to eyes. Then I know how to. I know how to help you, because I want to help you.
If people want to, obviously they can't. This will go out on Sunday, so they won't be able. But if they want to hear things, follow up, know more about the tastings.
Events, they can go to my Instagram page. Vines by Rosa is the same.
Right,
it's Vines, not Wines by Rosa, because a lot of people.
Vines.
Yes, Vines by Rosa. That's my daughter that gave me that name. So it's and my surname is Rosa. Because everybody always inverse it the other way. So and I'm so glad, Polly, that you and another thing I just want to add, which is so important, it's women like you. Having this conversation with you has actually given me a couple of ideas for the mentorship program, because we just need to keep talking about this. We need to keep talking till people actually pay attention and make a decisive change. There are a lot of people who say, oh, but I employ a Black person. No. It has to be decisive. You have to decide from when you start your employment, from when you start looking for people to train, from when you start employing people, for when you start giving people opportunities.
If they want to know about the Mentor Week, I know that you've got a very specific Instagram account that is for Bordeaux Mentor Week.
Yes.
Jane is talking about it at length in her socials.
Yes, exactly.
Any other good place to get information and follow? Or if they're a winery or a chateau who wants to be involved, or they want to say, come do it with us in
any other country, we will come. Jane has a huge followership. Like I said, I'm not one for followership, but anybody who wants to contact us, we are very, very open people. You send us an email on our website. We both have our emails on our website. We read each email.
Great.
We read each email. Please contact us because we want to change the way people look at Bordeaux. We want to change the way people look at the wine world as a whole. And the only way we can do it is if we do it together.
That is a beautiful closing. I'm going to leave us with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can't wait for part 2 of this conversation.
We are definitely having more conversation.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening, and a great big thank you to Chinedu for joining me today. The Italian Wine Podcast is among the leading wine podcasts in the world, and the only one with daily episodes. Tune in each day and discover all our different shows. Be sure to join us next Sunday for another look at the world of wine marketing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Vinitaly Academy, home of the gold standard of Italian wine education. Do you want to be the next ambassador? Apply online at vinitalyinternational.com for courses in London, Austria, and Hong Kong, the 27th to the 29th of July. Remember to subscribe and like Italian Wine Podcast, and catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. You can also find our entire back catalog of episodes at ItalianWinePodcast.com.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.